What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis. Coming to y'all with that quick analysis while holding down analysis, playground.com, while giving y'all this analysis. This isn't instant, but I did watch the entire game. And one thing I got to say is you got to give credit to the Timberwolves. They actually played defense, they actually executed, they still use their isolation. You have to give credit to them from literally going right at the Milwaukee Bucks head from the jump and being able to hold the lead, take the blows. Giannis hit threes. Giannis was they was coming at their head. But the Timberwolves was able to relax and get it done. You looking at Anthony Edwards, 25, D'Angelo Russell, 29, Towns, 25. And you look at everybody else outside of Vanderbilt who had 10. Nobody really had a huge contribution outside of their big three. Now, one thing I will say is, where was Milwaukee's big three? You look at Giannis Kumpo, 40, 16, and 7. Was dominating inside, was 3 of 6 from the three-point line, 7 of 9 from the free throw line. But look at Middleton, 16, 6 of 16, 1 of 8 from 3. You look at the fact that Connaughton had 6, George Hill had 9, Grayson Allen gave you 13, which is solid. But everybody else didn't have a great game either. When you're losing a great defender in Drew Holiday who could have defended D'Angelo Russell and made it tougher and more difficult. Same with Anthony Edwards. He probably would be defending Anthony Edwards on that last possession when he drove on Middleton, and they probably had a better shot of winning this game if Holiday was in it. And that shows you how important, why they made the trade for him, why he became such a huge part of why they won a title when Giannis was out and when he was healthy, especially against the Suns. Drew Holiday is a difference maker. This guy can score, he can facilitate, but he also can defend at an elite level, and that's why we see him on the All NBA defensive teams, and that's nothing to sneeze at. He's a legitimate player in this league, but he wasn't there. And Middleton has those games where he looks like he's a star, and he has those games where he looks regular. And you just can't have that when Holiday is out, because if you're going 1 for 8 from 3, you're taking a lot of shots, you're trying to get in rhythm, but the shots just wasn't falling. He didn't find no other ways to impact this game outside of trying to force the issue and score. Now, some of those shots was comfortable. Some of them shots are the ones that he usually take. They just wasn't falling, but he wasn't defending at an elite level. He wasn't assisting, setting up guys or nothing. And Giannis was just out there trying to go get him something. Because the game wasn't a blowout, it was a close game, and the Bucks had an opportunity to still win this game. So you have to give them credit for still trying to get this W, even though it looked like they wasn't gonna win it. And even when they got close, the Wolves never panicked. They never panicked outside of D'Angelo Russell throwing that pass to Anthony Edwards that went out of bounds. They still was able to get that composure, give it to Anthony Edwards, and he was able to get the little isolation at the top of the key and put the ball in the basket and get and one. And even though he missed a free throw, he came back and hit 2 in a row. So this was a changing of the tide type of game where the momentum was going on the Buck side. The crowd was getting into it. Giannis was getting into it. The defense started picking up. But the Wolves was able to just silence it. And I don't see them winning games like this last year. I don't see them winning games like this 2 years ago. And you have to give credit to D'Angelo Russell, who was able to play a little bit more looser, a little bit more free, getting in that pick and roll, scoring in the isolation, using the bank shot, using the floaters, using the layups, and just absolutely just trying to, you know, get to his spots and just knock down shots, and he was able to do that. He has been struggling, staying healthy. He has been struggling, putting the ball in the basket these last couple years, and they're going to need him to pick that up. That's why you give him that contract. That's why you make that trade, because not only is you trying to make Karl Anthony Towns happy, you're also still trying to be the best team you can be. And Wiggins wasn't really cutting it because he just couldn't give you enough offensively. And D'Angelo Russell hasn't lived up to that contract, and he hasn't lived up to the hype just yet. Even though he was All-Star in Brooklyn, he hasn't been able to resemble those performances wherever he has went. And this is a team that actually wanted him and actually thought he can be a big piece and a big part of this team. And he hasn't come through on his end just yet. But Anthony Edwards has. This was the number 1 pick like Towns. Towns became an All NBA player. Towns became an All Star. And Towns has been looking good. Hitting the threes, hitting the mid range, posting up, setting the screens, spacing the floor, getting out of the way when these guys want to go one on one, and just being that guy that you wanted him and knew he could be. You just wish he was a little bit more dominant and a little bit more aggressive, but he don't need to do it as much because he has guys like Anthony Edwards who now are just getting you a bucket. This guy has multiple ways to score. That was one of his biggest problems coming into the NBA was his shooting. He didn't shoot the ball well from three still, but he was able to attack in multiple ways, hitting the mid ranges, getting to the basket, getting the layups, getting the dunks, getting out in transition. You want to see him mix that bag up a little bit. We know he can get you a bucket. We know that he can get his own shot, but he still has to do it efficiently and he still has to make guys around him better. But I'm not going to put too much pressure on him because he made a lot of improvements and a lot of growth from being in college to being an NBA player, being a rookie, being a teenage rookie, and being able to fix and learn a lot on the fly and have a okay, not great or amazing, a okay season to finish off as a rookie and started the season off a lot more confident with a lot more swagger and it has still been aggressive. So they let him grow, they let him develop, and he's showing that he can really be one of the best two guards in this league. Defensively, he picked it up a little bit. You want to see more of that. He has the athleticism, he has the body, he has everything you need talent wise and athleticism wise. Mentally, Anthony Edwards is just not there. As you've seen a lot of his threes, he was trying to take them, but a lot of them he was forcing. A lot of them he was trying too hard. He was doing a little bit too much when he could have just moved the ball. He could have just let something else come more naturally, but instead he just took it and forced it up, and they just was clanking. Luckily for him, he was able to just be aggressive in the end and find a way to score outside of just chucking up threes. His 3-point shot is something that he really is going to have to improve if he really wants to be a legitimate scorer in this league. Just because you can put up numbers because you get an opportunity in the shot attempts, but you still want to be tough. You still want to be dominant when you're doing it. And he would have had a lot more points if his shot selection was smarter, his shot selection was a little bit more patient, or if he would have just made the right play instead of just trying to play a little bit of a hero ball. The best part about it is they was able to get the W, so it don't look as bad. And you look at the fact that he's only 20 years old and it's only his second season. It's not even over. It's the start of it. He has a lot of good things going for him, but you still want to get in his ear and let him know you could do this, you need to do this, try that, switch this up, do this a little bit better, so he doesn't get fixated and locked in to a mentality that could be detrimental to this team being special. I like what I seen out of this Wolves team tonight. I like the fact that their guards and their players from the perimeter are stepping up. You would still like to see a lot more from Malik Beasley, who they paid a lot of money. Now he's coming off the bench, hasn't played well at all this season, and he looked like a guy that could really be a great piece for this team, a guy that can come off the screens, give them some athleticism, give them some three-point shooting, but he hasn't been able to really deliver on that either. So they paying a lot of money to a lot of guys that haven't stepped up to their potential or haven't lived up to their potential or haven't even lived up to the contract that they have signed. When you're giving these guys these contracts, you want them to get better or you want them to be the best version of themselves. And a lot of these guys just haven't done it for this team. And then on top of that, they're not a great defensive team. You look at this game they was able to do it tonight. But if they want to win, these guys are going to have to step up. You know, everybody's not going to have guys missing. Everybody's not going to have an off night. And some teams are going to come at you. I like the fact that these guys are confident. I like the fact that these guys like playing with each other. But if this team wants to be a legitimate team in the NBA, especially because they're in the Western Conference and they have to get to the playoffs with this group, they have the shooting, they have the scoring, they have the ability. Do they want it? Will they do what is necessary to get it? And will they do what it takes to get these W's every game to the most of their ability, plus be able to make the playoffs? They want to do it. They have enough talent to do it. But do they have the mentality? Do they have the closing? Do they have the possessions value? Do they care enough defensively for 48 minutes? And are they disciplined enough to stay in games and trust in each other and believe? Because even when I'm watching this game, they didn't really know who they wanted to get the ball to. D'Angelo Russell turns it over, then they go to Towns, then they go to Anthony Edwards. They seem like they still figuring out the pecking order. They still trying to figure out who team this is. They still trying to figure out who's going to be their closer. and they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do on both ends of the court, which is basically what their identity is going to be. It's understandable because this team is young and they got a lot of pieces, and they got a lot of pieces that fit and don't fit, or should fit but don't fit yet. And they have 2 to 3 more years to figure this stuff out when they actually can become a legitimate team. Now, if they want to rush it, they can make a trade and find the right fits, or try to take a gamble to get the right fit. But ultimately, I think a trade will need to happen if this team is going to be a legitimate playoff team. And Anthony Edwards is still a couple years away from being really, really good if he continues on this trend. But overall, this is a great W for them. This is a game that they will lose. This is a game that they will blow. This is a game that they will find a way to give away. But instead, they was able to stay pat, stay calm, cool, and collective, and get the W against the champions, against Giannis, who was coming at them. Giannis, who was blocking shots and trying to obliterate them, even doing pull-up threes on them. But they ultimately got the W. And look at Anthony Edwards going ISO with the game on the line, going straight out of All-Star and Chris Middleton, and getting the and one and finishing, missing the free throw, but coming down and knocking down 2 in a row to seal this game. That's a good sign for him. That's a good start for him. But this is only the beginning of something that could be great. This is why you pick him number one, not because of what he can do day one, but because of what he can be in the future. And we're starting to see him get off to a really, really good start this season. The shoot needs to improve, especially from 3 and mid range. The shot selection needs to improve. The decision making needs to improve. The defensive intensity and consistency need to improve. But that can come years from now because he's only 20. I'm proud of him. I like what he did today. I liked him in the draft, but I still need to see a little bit more from him. Like I said, his start has been better, especially compared to last year. But we looking at superstar with Anthony Edwards. He's not there yet, but he's showing them signs and them flashes again. And I was glad to watch him and see him do his thing. But we'll see what he become by the end of this season. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll be back later tonight with my analysis on the Knicks.